Welcome back to Rouse Rising. I'm Katie, and today I am going to be sharing with you meals made from scratch from our kitchen to yours. We're also going to get outside and do a little bit of yard work once this weather kind of clears out a little bit. We have had some bipolar weather. We've had a bit of a false spring, and now we're having winter again with this snowstorm. So we're going to dive right into this video. If you are new here, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the Rouse Rising family. Let's jump into this recipe. This is a sourdough cinnamon roll recipe from the book Bread Machine Baking Perfect Every Time. It has 75 foolproof bread and dessert recipes, custom created for the 12 most popular bread machines. And I have really enjoyed baking out of this book because it has recipes specific to my Zojirushi bread machine. So this recipe starts out with half a cup of warm water. You can see I just got a little bit of water from my kettle there, and I already added 1/4 cup of butter. You can also use margarine if you prefer, or coconut oil, or any kind of fat that you have if you want to use lard. Then we're going to add 1 cup of sourdough starter and 1/4 cup of sugar. Right here, I have some fresh milled flour, so we're going to give this a try. And I'm going to use as much as I have here in this bowl, and then I'm going to add some all-purpose unbleached flour to make up for the last cup of flour that I need for this recipe to make the 3 cups. And then on top of this, I add 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of yeast. You can place all the ingredients into your bread machine and then program for dough and press start, or you can mix all of this up in your KitchenAid mixer, keeping in mind that you are going to have to do a rise with the dough and then punch it down and then form your cinnamon rolls. So while that dough works in the bread machine, I'm going to work on restocking some items in my pantry, mostly just my all-purpose flour. I have used up all of my kitchen containers, my smaller containers, and when I rotate through food, I make sure I use up all of my kitchen containers first, and then I go into my big buckets and restock from my larger buckets. And these are really heavy and tough to move around, so I have multiple containers that have all-purpose flour in them, so that makes it easy for me because we go through a lot of this flour. I would say, well, I'm not even, I should probably calculate for this for you guys, but this is a 25-pound bag of flour in this 5-gallon bucket. And I also got 25 pounds of wheat, or rather whole wheat bread flour is what I got. And I get these 25-pound bags of organic flour from Azure Standard. It is the best price that I have found that I can get delivered to where I am at, to this location. And buying in bulk really makes sense for my family. We are a family of 7, and I bake all of my kids' breads and things like that from scratch. So this is going to be the filling. The filling in these cinnamon rolls is going to be 1/3 cup of brown sugar. You want 1/3 cup of butter or margarine or whatever fat you want to use. And that needs to be softened. So I just warmed it up briefly, just enough to soften the butter, but you don't want it liquidy at all. You just want it nice and soft. I did 1/4 teaspoon ground cinnamon, and I actually went heavier than that. I probably did closer to a full teaspoon of cinnamon because we love cinnamon. And then you want to do 1/8 teaspoon or a pinch of ground nutmeg if you want to. That's optional. And then for the assembly, once my bread machine was done making the dough, and after it had sat for a little while and rested, it actually got a little bit dry. You can see here as I'm rolling it. And because I used that fresh milled wheat, it probably could have used a little bit more hydration. So you can see I'm having a little bit of trouble with my dough here, getting it rolled out. Your dough might be much softer. I will admit that the wheat berries I used was a combination of hard wheat berries and soft wheat berries. So that is why I'm having a little bit of trouble too with my dough. But make sure that you use a soft wheat berry, or that you're using a non-bleached all-purpose flour for this recipe. When you use a bread flour, it doesn't quite work as well. There's just a little bit too much gluten formation in there and that kind of thing. So from the kneading process, and we don't want that. We want this to be a nice and soft dough. So I'm just rolling this out into like a 9 by 12 rectangle, and then I'm going to smear the mixture that I made earlier on the inside, and we're going to roll this up and slice it into rounds. So I'm probably going to try to get as many as I can out of this, and I like to make smaller cinnamon rolls for my kids, just for portion control and that kind of thing. So this recipe says to cut the cinnamon rolls into 6 equal slices, but I end up doubling that or a little bit more and cut them a little bit smaller. That way my kids have a smaller portion size because they're little kids and they're not going to eat like a whole giant cinnamon roll in one sitting. So that works out really well for my family. Once you have these rolled up and sliced, you're going to want to cover them with saran wrap and place them in a warm place to allow them to double in size. So all I do is roll them up and cover them with the saran wrap, which you'll see here in a minute. And then I place these in my oven with the light on, and the light produces enough warmth and to get these rising beautifully to help them double in size. And you can see here I'm going to be slicing these with some dental floss. You can use whatever you have. If you have a knife, you can use that too. It works just fine. But I'm going to use this dental floss. I've also seen people use cinnamon dental floss, and I'm going to get some next time I remember, if I ever remember. I'm going to get some cinnamon dental floss to keep in the kitchen just for slicing my cinnamon rolls. But I'm just using a regular dental floss, and it's not really regular. It's like the Glide kind of dental floss. So my fingers got a little greasy and it was sliding. I didn't have any traction. So that dental floss was just sliding right out of my fingers no matter how many times I wrapped it around my index fingers. It would just slide right off of there. So I decided to bake these in a round pie pan, but you can use really any baking vessel that you have will work just fine. But these are pie pans that my dad bought a couple years ago when he visited for Thanksgiving, and he left these here with us. So I always like using these in my baking because it reminds me of him. We have some time for these to double in size, especially because my house is a little bit on the cooler side. So while these sit in the oven and double up, we are going to head outside and do some yard work. This portion of today's vlog is sponsored by High C. They make durable work boots, rain boots, and gaiters for hunting, fishing, all that good stuff. They come with a 100-year warranty, and they will keep your feet 100% dry because they are 100% waterproof. That's right. And I picked out these garden rain boots because the top of them cinch down, and that's going to keep dirt from falling in my shoe when I'm digging in the garden. And if you are a gardener or you work in your yard, you know that is a major pet peeve of people like you and me, getting dirt in our shoe and having to do the flamingo to clean our shoe out. With my code ROUSE15, you're going to get 15% off the whole highc.com website. So go ahead and check out the link down below in this video's description. Aaron picked out a pair of mid-calf work boots. They have a steel toe and a grippy tread on the bottom to prevent slips and falls. He appreciates that these boots are super easy to slip on and off when he's running in and out playing with the kids, doing yard work, taking the trash down to the road. I like that they keep my feet warm and dry and clean. That's the major bonus for me. And we had a lot of fun working out in the yard today, cleaning up these pine cones, pine needles, and pine branches from all these trees on our 2-acre property. This is a constant maintenance for us. So we have to get out here anytime there isn't a burn ban, and we've got to get these piles going with all of the different yard debris that we accumulate throughout the year. So on this particular day, we got to spend some time out in the yard as a family. The boys learned some valuable fire starting skills as well as some fire extinguishing skills, which are very important in this area. So we're always sure to go over safety with our kids and the importance of managing your fires because we are in a very fire-prone area. So that is something that we have a lot of discussions about around here. We've got to keep everybody safe. So I'm going to do my little boot scoot new boot dance, and we're going to head back inside and get some food going. So for dinner tonight, somebody mentioned, because I didn't parboil my potatoes before I canned them, but someone said if you rinse them and then roast them, they're amazing. So we're gonna attempt that tonight. I'm gonna rinse up 2 jars of these, otherwise I'm gonna end up using them in soups. But I'm gonna rinse up 2 jars and see how they roast. This is a super simple way to make roasted potatoes, and these actually reminded me a lot of the roasted potatoes that we ate a lot in England. They always did Sunday roasts, and they always had the crispiest, yummiest potatoes. So this is my take on it. You can add whatever seasonings you like. I am using real salt from Redmond's, and I always have a discount code down below in the video's description for you all, so check that out. And then we're gonna go on top with some onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, some lemon pepper. And then these are gonna go in the oven at 425 until they crisp up and brown up a little bit and get nice. Ooh, I forgot olive oil. Always use lots and lots and lots of fat. That's gonna help crisp these up and make these beautiful and golden and tasty and delicious and soft on the inside, crispy on the outside. That's what we're going for. The next thing we're gonna do is pop over to our chicken, because we're gonna have a lemon pepper pressure cooked chicken tonight. So I just coated it with the lemon pepper seasoning, popped the grate into the Instant Pot, added a cup of water to prevent it from burning. You also want to make sure that you cook your whole chicken for a minimum of 30 minutes and then check it to make sure it's cooked all the way. That I'm gonna have to add some time to. I hit the poultry button, but I didn't give it enough time. I'm gonna fix it off camera, no biggie. Aaron made the chicken liver from the chicken that I'm cooking in the Instant Pot.
No.
Chicken liver. You need help?
That's fine.
Cut me a little piece.
This is yours. Little River.
That's fine.
It's really good.
Mmm. That's amazing.
You want to taste it?
Yeah. These potatoes turned out really good. I'm just waiting on the rest of the meal. I've got some chicken going for the kids, and then I don't know, I'll figure out a vegetable, or maybe I won't. Maybe they'll just have this and chicken and some cinnamon buns that are almost done. Alright, we are gonna boil up some eggs. I have been eating lots and lots and lots of salads lately, and I love everything on my salad. I love to put everything that I can eat possible on a salad and cover it with balsamic vinegar and oil. And I'm not on carnivore anymore. I'm on like the Whole Foods healthy diet. I'm going back to that, try to get some weight back on my body. So we're gonna boil up a bunch of eggs. I think some of the kids will have some eggs now. Usually, and you guys know from watching all my other videos, I do eggs in the Instant Pot, but over here we've got last night's chicken broth going. So we're gonna make some rice. I'm just gonna meal prep a bunch of food today. We're gonna have some rice. I've got some zucchini here. I went to the grocery store because we needed diapers and wipes that I did not get on my last grocery haul. I got 12 of those mangoes I shared with you in the last grocery haul. I got 3 more cucumbers because our kids love cucumbers, and I got 3 zucchinis. And then we also scored 2 packs of on sale chicken. The other pack was organic. This one is just the Simple Truth natural one. But we got 2 packs of those, and then I got 6 packs of pork sausage links that were $1.40 each, and I put those in the freezer. So all of that and some diapers and wipes was $100. If you can imagine, I didn't even get hardly anything and it was $100. So you guys, it's not even worth a whole grocery haul, but $100 won't get you much these days. So this is going to come back up and start boiling, and I'm going to finish this broth off. And then we also have some chicken from the chicken that we made last night, some grapes remaining from the last grocery haul. Oh yeah, I got this in today's grocery haul too, because I've been eating salads like crazy. So I've been eating spinach salads, and then I wanted to get some 50-50 blend. And down here I need to deal with, we've got some romaine that I need to peel off some leaves and use up, and then Swiss chard still, and then we still have plenty of produce. This is some potatoes that we made last night. These were canned potatoes that I had canned, and then we roasted them. They turned out really, really good. So what I'm going to do right now as part of my meal, because it's bulk season for me, is I'm going to go ahead and dump these in this pan and get these fried up again, get them reheated, nice and warmed through. And then I'm going to have like a smorgasbord salad thing going on. All right.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, had to reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging deep since '99. What I thought was gone was sitting in my pocket in plain sight all along. I think it's time for me to go, burn all bridges. All I know, I got lost along the way, fell between the foam, pulling stitches. Time to let go, so come what may.
Okay, so I like salads with everything on it. I have some hemp seeds to use up. We have some walnuts in the house we need to use up. So I'm throwing those on my salads. I've been trying to stay away from nuts and seeds because of the different inflammation and stuff that it causes. But this week I said, you know what? I'm just going to eat food. I'm going to eat all the things, not dairy though, and limited gluten and things like that. I'm still, on that kind of restrictive diet. But I just really wanted salads for a few days, so this is how I've been making them. I'm going to get these things out of the house, the walnuts and the hemp seeds and things like that, so I'm not tempted to continue eating them because they did cause me some pain, but, Huge. This is a pie plate, right? This is like an 8-serving pie plate, so that's what I'm going to eat right now. Good stuff. Hey, so my kitchen's a real kitchen, just like your kitchen's a real kitchen, and real kitchens have real messes and pretty flowers. This is the first time I think I've ever regrown another strand of orchid blooms. And this one's actually really happy, and it's just going to keep growing and keep making more. It's so pretty, but I've had this since I don't even know how long I've had this, but there's the first one. This is the one I bought it from the store with, and I don't know, I've always starved or dehydrated my orchids because I heard you're supposed to give them an ice cube every so often. So, but this one I've been watering it and taking better care of it, and it's living and thriving and surviving in the Rao household, and I'm very proud of it. So she sits right here, and I look at her every day and I say, "You're so beautiful. Thank you for your blooms. I appreciate you so much." And then I need to put a mirror right here on the wall, and I need to tell myself the same exact things. We got up early this morning. We went and we checked the farm store for chickens. They don't have them. And no one in the country has them available for shipment. Thought about buying an incubator. Need fertile eggs, so I might check with the lady down the road, see if she has some fertile eggs. Maybe we can get on an incubator. Maybe we can hatch our own. We'll see. This is carnivore or keto, I'm not sure, chicken that Aaron is making, and this is the halfway point where he has to flip it over. But he just basted the chicken tenderloins. He cut them up into chunks, and then he dredged them through egg, like an egg mixture, and then he dredged them through pork rinds that have been crushed up into tiny crumbs. So this is a pork rind air fried chicken nugget, and they're actually amazing. So if you are craving fried chicken, just douse your chicken in some egg and some pork rinds. We're gonna give these a taste. Just doing a little taste test.
Truck class it down in Naples.
That's pretty good.
That's real good. Super crunchy.
No seed oils?
It's super crunchy, no seed oils, way crunchier than like any fried chicken I've had. So
Dairy free?
that worked out really good. Dairy free, all the good stuff. Juicy, good. Dad's serving up the kids' lunch. We got some cucumber pickles. Y'all wonder how we eat our pickles. We just put apple cider vinegar on top. That's it.
Hagen, get the ketchup out.
Also made our daily loaf of bread today. I'm gonna get this out, but I did it again. I added sourdough to it, and it's split, but it's still gonna taste delicious. Next up, the girls and I put our wits together and made this pineapple upside down cake. It reminds me of my mama because when I was a little girl, she made pineapple upside down cake quite often, and we found this recipe in the Vitamix recipe book. I just so happened to say, hey, let's see if we have a recipe book with a pineapple upside down cake, and sure enough, one of the books I had actually had a recipe. So we are gonna make this together. I hope you enjoy watching. right, let's move on to tonight's dinner. And we still have this chicken that we're working through, the lemon pepper chicken that we cooked the day before in the Instant Pot. So I'm just going to whip up some chicken salad sandwiches. We also baked that loaf of bread that you saw, and a lot of times I show in my videos my loaves of bread, but I don't always show you guys what I do with them. So tonight we're just keeping it super simple. I'm going to whip up some fresh mayonnaise with an egg and some lemon juice, some apple cider vinegar, and olive oil, and we're going to add that to this chopped up chicken, and then we're going to put it on our sandwich, and we're just going to have some chicken salad sandwiches. And we often have smoothies, and for snacks we'll have cucumber pickles and things like that. We have apples and mangoes. So when I make meals like this, sometimes you might just see like the main dish, the main thing that I'm feeding them. You might not see a whole plate put together. I know I showed you last night the chicken and the potatoes, and then they ended up having a smoothie later. Aaron really likes to combine the ingredients for the smoothies, so we drink a smoothie almost every single day in this house. So we get plenty of fruits and vegetables. Don't y'all worry about that. I did about a teaspoon of lemon juice, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 cup of olive oil, and this actually, and 1 egg. And this makes a proper mayo. The last video I added way too much apple cider vinegar. Yeah, it was more like an aioli consistency, and it was way too vinegary, but this is more like a homemade mayonnaise. So my secret ingredient to my chicken salad now, after one of you subscribers recommended it, was poultry seasoning. I picked up a container of poultry seasoning at the grocery store, and we've been using it in our chicken salads to season our poultry and just in all sorts of different little recipes around the house, and I've really enjoyed the poultry seasoning. So if you were the one who recommended that, I apologize. I don't remember who it was, but I appreciate you all, and I love trying out your suggestions. The comments that you leave down below are always super, super helpful, and I'm open to suggestions and ideas, and this is a great place for us to collaborate together on recipes and share ideas and learn from one another. So there's my homemade bread, and I'm just showing you one sandwich for demonstration purposes. I'm adding a little bit more lemon juice. I thought that this chicken salad could use a tad more tang. Last time I made it with you all, it was too tangy. This time it wasn't tangy enough, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So we just load this up. You can put whatever toppings you want to on this, but a basic delicious chicken salad is good enough too. We're just here to fill bellies. As Jessica from Three Rivers says, she always says, we're just trying to fill bellies here. And that is the truth, because if you have kids and you know that they are growing and they are eating nonstop, and every time we clean up a meal, we're right back in the kitchen making the next meal, cleaning that up onto the next meal, first breakfast, second breakfast, third breakfast, first lunch, second lunch, third dinner, fourth dinner, the list goes on. And that is actually a really good sandwich. I ate 1 little square corner, and that does it for my gluten intake for the week. But I did make the kids this pineapple upside down cake, or actually Hagen and Annika helped me make this. They made it, however we want to look at that. The girls did a wonderful job with this cake, and so I'm just checking to make sure that it is done all the way through, and then we are going to serve this up for them, and they're going to have a lovely little treat, and Aaron and I get the joy and pleasure of watching them enjoy this cake, which was a tradition in my family, and I'm happy to share this tradition with my kids, even if I can't enjoy the cake myself. But it just, like I said earlier, it reminds me of my mother. This was something she made for us, and it just brings back all those good, fond memories. I'm going to flip this out onto a cookie sheet, and the recipe called for like a can of caramel that you poured over the pineapple, and then you put the cake batter down, but I didn't have caramel, so what I did was put the pineapple in the pie plate, added a bunch of butter, added some sugar, then I put the cake batter on top of that, and that helped make a little bit of a caramelized type pineapple upside down cake. You can kind of see it there. I did have to double the recipe because I used a larger pan, and it just called for like a 9x9 pan, but I used a larger pan. I needed much more, so I ended up whipping up another batch of the cake part just to fill the pan up the rest of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and serve the kids up big old hunks of this cake because you know, they've been working hard out in the yard and they deserve it. So we're going to give them each a huge slice of cake, and they really enjoyed this recipe. I hope you enjoyed it too. I put the leftovers into this vacuum sealed casserole dish, and this is going to help keep it fresh for many more days in the fridge, and they can eat on this for dessert for the next couple of nights. Next, we are on to that chicken broth. You know, did I even show you guys? After I deboned the chicken, I threw the carcass back into my Instant Pot, added a bunch of water, and I let this slow cook overnight for about 24 hours or so. And then I like to crush up the bones and get everything mixed up really well, strain it through a fine mesh strainer into this plastic pitcher, and then we're gonna head over to my canning jars that I have sterilizing in the oven at 250 degrees. We have our canning pot back there heating up. It has a little bit of vinegar in it. I'm going to take out my jars, and we're going to pour the hot broth into the hot jars with a teaspoon of Redmond's real salt in each jar. Yes, you can use Redmond's real salt for canning, and I prefer it over the canning salt that you can also purchase at this store. I just prefer using Redmond's real salt for all of my cooking and baking applications, my meat curing, all that sort of stuff. It is a very versatile salt, and the only reason why they make a canning salt is just to prevent your canned foods from being cloudy, and I don't mind if my canned goods have a little bit of cloudy color from any other salt that I choose to use. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is the quality of the salt. Okay, so we're just filling these up, and then we're going to put the lids that are in the glass Pyrex dish. I pour boiling water over those to get the seal in them nice and softened up, and then once the seal is nice, warm, and soft, we put it onto our jars, secure the lids finger tight, then we place those into our canning pot, our large pressure cooker, and from there they will pressure cook for about 20 minutes and then depressurize, sit out on the counter for 24 hours, and boom, you've got yourself some shelf stable chicken broth. It's really easy to do, and it doesn't take very much time at all. This just takes about an hour of time for me to can up my chicken broth when I do this. Yes, it takes a long time for the broth to cook. Not a big deal though. The canning process is super easy. I hear so many of you say how intimidated you are to try canning and pressure canning meat and canning broth. It is a little bit intimidating at first, but I promise you, once you jump in and do it, you're gonna realize how easy and amazing it is to can your own chicken broth, and you're gonna think, why haven't I done this before? I had the exact same thoughts. I too was intimidated by the pressure canning process and even pressure cooking, and I learned how to pressure cook with my Instant Pot, and then I became more comfortable to where I was able to down the road purchase a large pressure canning pot and start canning all kinds of food to preserve in my home. Okay, right here what I've decided to do is fill up 2 mason jars with boiling hot water, and we are going to can water today, and this is going to go on my shelf. This is going to be a shelf stable sterilized water that we can have in emergencies, and this also fills up my pressure canner so that everything in there processes much quicker, and it takes up space in the water so that we have the right water level, all that good stuff. There's many benefits to canning jars of water, but like I said, the main benefit here is to have some shelf stable, sterile water for emergencies. I have plenty of extra jars that I can do that right now, so that's what I'm doing. You can choose to do that, or you can just leave the extra space in your canner empty, and that's not a big deal either. I've done it both ways. All right, so these are the 4 jars of broth that we got, and I also have 2 jars of water. Let me show you. I'm gonna take you in here. I've got a fussy baby boy. I've already put him on the shelf, but I went ahead and I'm gonna start canning some cans of water, just so if the power goes out or whatever, we can have some fresh, clean, sterile water should we need it to make coffee or tea or to drink. So I'm going to keep doing that. I have some extra jars and things, and we're also going to be going through the beans and stuff like that. Last but not least, we're finally going to deal with all of these mangoes, so I'm going to slice them up as thinly as I can. These are slippery little boogers, and then I'm going to put them on all of these grates, and they are going to go into my London Sunshine dehydrator, my food dehydrator, and we're going to have some shelf-stable fruit that I'm going to store away for a rainy day when maybe we are out of other fresh fruits or canned fruits or whatever. I'm just going to try to hide this mango in my stash so the kids don't find it, because if they find it, they're going to eat it all immediately, and then there goes my long-term food supply. So, you know, it's a balancing act. We do eat some of this stuff, and then some of it I do like to set aside for a rainy day. I like to put them in the Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, seal them up, and stow them away so that they have a longer shelf life. So when I find good deals on things like mangoes, these were 79 or 89 cents a piece. I know when I originally saw them, they were 79 cents, and then a few days later, they went up to 89 cents. So I just made sure that I grabbed as many as I could so that I could do this little project of food preservation. These mango are going to dehydrate at 140 degrees Fahrenheit for about 5 to 6 hours. I'm going to come back and check them, make sure they're all the way done. But I like that this dehydrator, I can set the time and the temperature for whatever it is that I am dehydrating. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you all for hanging out with me today and watching these 2 days of food and meal prep. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.